there, my name's Jill Tiny. I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me. We all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times, and we've come out the other end having learnt an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, wherever you are listening to this afternoon today. My name is Jill Tiny, and you're listening to the Being Human Hidden Depths podcast. I'm delighted to welcome to Collaboration Global as one of our newer members, Emily Van Eyssen.
Emily Van Eyssen. Don't worry about it. Call me Emily.
You'll have to tell me the hereditary behind that. But it's lovely to have you, Emily. And we've already started this podcast, as we usually do, before the thing even gets recorded. So we might have to backtrack on what we were chatting about. And I think we were kind of finding common ground in parenthood and grandparenthood. Not that you're a grandparent yet, but
not yet. My daughter's only 14, so I hope I've got a few more
time. Although I will tell you this in all honesty, I was dating my now husband when I was 14.
How amazing is that?
Well, my children think it's disgusting, but it was a different time back then, and it wasn't seen as coercion or anything else or grooming.
That's hilarious, Jill.
We've been together ever since, so that was a good thing. Emily, first and foremost, you've only been a member of Collaboration Global in the blink of an eye, but what was the kind of how did you kind of, well, find us, first of all, but also what drew you, what magnetized you into our community?
Great question, Jill. Well, first of all, thank you very much for welcoming with such open arms. And it's fantastic to get to know the website and hopefully meet quite a few of you in the coming weeks and months. I think we do a lot of cold outreach. On my business, Remote Recruitment, we're constantly cold outreaching, and I think we cold outreach to you and you responded, and we had a chat, and then I was hooked. You didn't want my services, but I was mesmerized, to use your word, by what you have to offer and what the whole Collaboration Global idea behind it is. And I think it's excellent. It's really exciting to bring all these clever people together in different areas of expertise into one place.
Oh, beautiful. Well said. I couldn't have said that better myself. That's fantastic. And I don't know about you, but don't you find that when you get chatting to somebody who might be a total stranger, and I am an addict at talking to people I don't know, they're just friends you haven't met yet. Don't you find that there's a kind of energy that you kind of feed off of and go, oh, we connected, even though we barely spoke. I mean, we had a short conversation, but if you're constantly outreaching to people, do you find there are some people you just instantly connect with?
And not connect with.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's positive and negative. Absolutely. It's very strange, I think, our new environment and our new world. My day is always on Zoom. I have probably 6 to 8 meetings that are booked into my diary every day, and meeting people after people. And this feels normal. It feels a very normal space just to sit and chat. And exactly your point. Some of them you go, oh my God, horrific. Others you go, this is lovely. I really want to know more. And that's obviously how I felt about you and Collaboration Global.
You did make an instantaneous decision. I thought it was amazing. I think we've had probably about a dozen people who've either had a quick chat with me or have found out about me and gone, right, I'm in, that's it. And it's like, wow, okay, brilliant. Some people need persuading.
Completely. I think it's really important as a business leader of my own business is to be decisive. There's nothing, businesses fail and people fail because they're so busy thinking and wondering, should I, shouldn't I? Just do it. You told me very quickly I could cancel if I needed to, so really cheap gamble. What have I got to lose? I might have anything to gain. You know, it's a bottle of champagne, isn't it? So it's worth a go.
Yeah, do you know what? That's really interesting. When you talk about leadership and you talk about running businesses and going from the corporate world and having your own business, that's one of the few things that people do say. You've got to be decisive. You've got to know what you're going for and what's in it for you. And I think that caveat that, well, if you don't like it, you can go, it was like, well, fair enough. Let's see how it goes. And
It's
I think,
really, really important, and it's something I try and do within my own company. Is to let people make mistakes and to make encourage decisiveness, because actually, so often a bad decision is still better than no decision.
oh, yes, we're always talking about choices, aren't we? Powerful choices, and not making a choice is still a choice. And we teeter on the fence, don't we? Now, I have the problem of bright, shiny object syndrome. And I'm lucky enough that I have a VA and other support that they're like, no, stop it. Don't do that now. Move on, Jill. This is not your problem. We'll sort that out. You go and deal with that. And it's such a relief when I'm not that great at making decisions because I have to hear, oh, what about this and this, that? And what did he think? What did she think about that? And you've just given me this little light bulb moment of like, yeah, just make a damn decision. Just get on with it. It's the what if you don't scenario rather
It's
than what if you do. So you just
it's
kind
so
of,
important just to get on with it. And I've got a long list of bad decisions, but I've also got a whole box of procrastinations that
yeah,
if I had have done something, I wonder what would have happened.
yeah,
And I've really learned from that over the years, just to get on with it. Just give it, because life's short. Time goes fast. You want to
oh,
get to golf quickly. You're talking about your grandchildren. In 10 minutes, she'll be at 18. So it's important to crack on and make decisions.
make the most of every minute that you've got. Absolutely. And I'm a bit like that with people. I trust everyone on site and I'm rarely disappointed because my decision is you're another human being, therefore I love you. And that's what we're about. Let's see
Ah,
what we can create together. And then sometimes people are like, oh no, and they usually extricate themselves from me because I'm expecting things from them that they don't feel able to fulfill. But generally, you meet somebody, you're nice to them, you're kind to them, and that's what you kind of get back. So it's,
kindness is really important. I think it's how you should live your life professionally and personally.
mm,
You can still be strong and be kind. And they're not mutually exclusive.
no.
And it's very important. I was interviewing somebody yesterday, and she was a lovely, lovely girl, but she was wrong for the job.
Mm,
Uh, it was a job actually for me, and I had to be very polite because she was a super girl,
yeah.
super lady rather, with loads of great qualities. She just wasn't right for my company. So I think in that sort of situation, it was really important to highlight, essentially do a shit sandwich. The whole, you're brilliant. I think you're amazing. I can't do this
Yeah.
because of X, Y, and Z. But the other part of the shit sandwich is how you can make your life better and where you can how you can find a job. And afterwards, she emailed me and thanked me because although even though she'd been rejected with kindness
Yeah.
and with some constructive criticism. And I think that sort of again is really important.
That's the beginnings of great leadership, isn't it? Is having that kindness, which I think in the past, not so much today, but in the past, that has been oh, well, it's just business. I'm sorry. It's not nothing personal that I'm being awful to you. I'm just going to push it to one side and say, it's business. You've got to get over it. It's your problem, not my problem. But you've just said you should be, sharing, doing the shit sandwich, but it's the kindness, but the strength as well. And the
It's really
decisiveness is you've given me a whole new thing to think about, Emily. This decisiveness thing. I always talk about choosing rather than deciding, but it's about empowering and having an empowered choice rather than this procrastination and this whiffle waffle. It doesn't serve anybody, does it?
circling back with that for that story about the lovely lady
Mm,
and what you said about being kind and instant reactions. I instantly liked her. She
yeah,
was fantastic, but I also instantly knew within 2 minutes she wasn't right for my company. So
yeah.
rather than waste half an hour of her time, as well as mine, giving her false hope that this might lead to
Gosh, yeah,
something,
yeah,
it was actually kinder and fairer to say no because, and this is how you can fix it. So
yes.
she left with no illusions but feeling positive. And I think that's something that's really important. And I try and do that amongst my team as well to say, when we have a problem, because everybody has problems, whether it's business or personal, our kind of golden rule is that, first of all, don't panic.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, let's fix it.
Mm.
Then let's have a conversation on what went wrong and how it went wrong.
Yeah.
Not saying you idiot, blah, 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 but what went wrong? How did we end up making a mess of this? Because
Yeah.
if you break it down and work out what those steps were, you can then put something in place for it never to happen again. And that's something that I wish I'd learned this 30 years ago. I'd be in a very different position, but it's the advantage of being a little bit older, isn't it, Jill?
Older
So,
and wiser, yeah.
and that's something that I apply in my business and my personal life. And I think it's really helped me.
I agree. I agree. And again, it's something we all learn at a later stage, and that's the essence of a good collaboration is when you do that review and what went right, what didn't go right, and how can we fix it for next time. And if you're not reviewing your business, I mean, we do this. We encourage people to do this in Collaboration Global on a weekly basis. So we've got the accountability space where it's like, what are you going to do this week? And then we've got the how did it go on the Friday, and you kind of like have the answer of like, oh, this went wrong or that went wrong, because you're not afraid to say it went wrong because you're in a supportive environment, because people go, oh yeah, I did that. That's fantastic. No worries. This is what I did. This is how I got out of it. And they're like, so we're just constantly helping each other.
Which is fantastic. I also think it's really important. It's something that we do. I have morning meetings with my team, which is so essential when you're working remotely. Otherwise, it always goes wrong. But for me, placing somebody and getting somebody a job it's the best thing in the world. And we talk about how it was successful. So it's not always about working out what went wrong, but
Mm.
also recognizing what went right and
Yeah.
say, well, that was really brilliant. That was really great because of this. And then giving praise to the person who put that in. Because if you lead by praise rather than fear, everyone,
They get taller, don't they?
because it's a happy place to come to work.
Yes, exactly. And it empowers them to make decisions that might be out of the box as well compared to what they were. So you've hinted at it so far. We haven't really explained to people what you do, although in Collaboration Global, we don't really care what you do. We care what you're passionate about. But I think it's pretty obvious that you care and you're passionate about what you do as well. So I'm going to ask you, how did the recruitment journey start for you? How long ago since you started thinking about this, and how did it come
Well,
about?
great question, Jill, because actually just before I answer your question, I do need to say I am absolutely passionate about my business because it's got such a human side to it and it really, really matters. Yes, I'm in recruitment, but I'm not your average UK recruiter. I recruit South Africans for the UK market, working remotely. I'm half South African. I spent a chunk of my childhood there. So it's a place that's very close to my heart. It's really, really important to me. And South Africa economically is really going down the drain at the moment, sadly. And there's horrific unemployment, sort of at best guess about 40% unemployment. And in the youth under 30, it can be the best guess is a heartbreaking.
Mm.
So it's not just about bums on seats, it's about changing somebody's life. And that matters to me. And like so many people, I've had different businesses, some really successful, some really unsuccessful. But this is the first time I've been in a business that changes people's lives. It empowers a UK or a US business to take their business to the next level because they get staff that they can't afford to have. It pays my mortgage, which I really like, and it and equally as important, it changes somebody's life in South Africa. So there's no losers. And that's just outstanding. I look forward to coming to work, and that passion shared with my team. We all look forward to coming to work. A very key person in my team, Kiara, my lovely admin manager, she's recently just come back from a week from Zanzibar, very jealous, and she said she couldn't wait to come back to work and start again on a Monday.
Oh, how
And
lovely.
that passion is exactly what I want to keep growing and instilling because that's how work should be. It shouldn't be, oh God. I mean, we all have days like that, but it
Yeah.
should be a happy, fun place to be as well. But
That's
how I got into recruitment was really by chance, like so much of life, which is the best bit. I had a small stint of being a recruiter when in my early 20s and then went off and did other things. I enjoyed it, but I wasn't ready to be office based. And in those days, sort of 25 years ago, it was very, we wrote letters and just about had email. It was a different time.
I
So
remember.
really like that vibe at all. But I was my journey was property. I've always been in property. Property was my thing. That's what I thought I'd do till I retired.
Mhm.
I was quite comfortable. And then the pandemic hit. And at that point, I was looking after about 120 service accommodation business units. And I hated it. I absolutely hated it because it was 24/7. At the end of the day, it was always me that was picking up the problems about guests locked out or a washing machine or something. And I've got a young daughter, and I don't want to work at weekends and evenings. I don't do it. Not interested. So the pandemic was terrifying because it closed my business down overnight.
Oh gosh.
But I was terribly relieved because I suddenly had life. I could see my child and see, not see my family, but I had time.
Mm.
And it was at the point, like so many of us, we didn't know what was happening to our businesses, and it was terrifying. And I listened to every time Rishi Sunak spoke on telly and with his various offers, with a bottle of wine and a pen and paper to see what was and write down. And I applied for everything. I applied for everything, and I applied to do the Kickstart scheme, which was a scheme for young people to get into employment if they were the underage of 24, 25,
Mm.
26, so it seems a long time ago. And I applied, and I really didn't think I would get anything. And completely unbeknown to me, I still don't understand this. They awarded me gateway status and essentially gave me a contract for £1 million, which was bizarre because I had no recruitment experience. They
Wow.
literally just gave me two logos and terms and conditions and said, get on with it.
Gosh.
And I said, right, what do I do? Here's something to do. I can earn money. I can help people. Tick, tick, tick. But how the flappers do we do this?
Gosh.
So the scheme was quite well established. So I rang up quite a lot of the competition at that point, pretending I was interested. Apologies if you're listening to this and you're the competition, and worked out how to do it and pieced it together. And by the time the scheme finished, we helped over 200 people into employment, and
Mm.
we were one of Southeast's biggest gateway.
Wow.
Needless to say, I made a few errors on the way. I got sanctioned twice by the DWP because I did it wrong, but
Oops.
they didn't give me any bloody guidebooks. So, what can you do? And then the scheme came to an end, and all the young people tripped off to well-paid jobs in the land of milk and honey. And I was left thinking, I need somebody to replace my social media marketing person.
Right.
And I looked at the salaries I would have to pay, and I looked at the people and thought, you're actually all rubbish. You wanted me to pay 30 grand and you're average at best.
Wow.
So I went back to my roots and thought, let's have a look at South Africa. And I naively hired somebody. I got two amazing people for the price of one, essentially, in the UK. And they were fantastic, but I naively did it, and I was breaking all sorts of employment laws and
Oh
all
dear.
sorts of things. And I realised that this was an amazing opportunity for me to earn money, help UK businesses, and help people in South Africa. So I then hit pause for about 5, 6 months because it took me a while to work out how to do it legally and safely
Mm.
and yeah, in both countries, and there's a lot of red tape in South Africa. So
Yeah.
it took a while, and yeah, we've been doing this now for very nearly 2 years. We've helped, I think it's close to 250 people now into employment.
Gosh.
We've got some really super employee companies that have flourished using our people. Um, and it's magnificent. It's absolutely magnificent. Every week we send an email or a WhatsApp to the talent as well as the clients. And it's lovely to see what people come back with. Yes, had another great week. I've hit my targets. I've done that. It's
Oh.
just brilliant. And it's not just about me. It's changing people and it's magnificent. I love it.
Oh, that's just filled my heart with joy. It's absolutely wonderful because that's what we call the triple win. It's a win for you, a win for clients, and a win for the people that you're employing as well. It's just a beautiful thing to see. And you're doing it from the space of how can I help you rather than how much money can I earn out of these people. It's that different take on how we want our world to evolve. Um,
I do also do it from a point of how much money can I make as well. I'm an
be
expensive
practical.
baby.
Do you have a big shoe wardrobe? Is that what's going on?
No, I travel. That's my drug
Ah,
choice.
yeah. So let's go
That's
back a little bit further then. You're half South African.
yeah,
That's why you're going to feel comfortable in this community because we've got several full South Africans in the community. So you'll have fun reminiscing and talking about brides
lovely.
and various other things and biltong and goodness knows what else.
It's a
Um,
very important biltong. It's very
Apparently, I've heard. Yeah, okay. It's quite you're quite addicted, aren't you? It's a bit like the Scottish with their iron brew. It's very special. Um, you grew up in South Africa, presumably. How did that appear to you?
I spent a large part of my early years in South Africa and then came back to the grey country, and that was quite horrific. So, but
Oh,
politically, it was the right thing to do, obviously. So, yeah, it was. So yeah, I'm in England. I'm not English, and in South Africa, I'm not South African. So I'm very comfortable in both places. But no, it's a fantastic country with so much to offer and some really outstanding people. And the work ethic is so different as well. The
oh,
work ethic. It's what I always say to clients as well. It's not just about getting things cheaper. It's about getting a totally different work ethic. I'll give you an example. My very wonderful general manager she is still pregnant, but we were having our morning meeting, which we do obviously every day to go through what we're trying to achieve.
mm.
And she went into labour early and a bit too early. And she carried on the meeting and she was messaging me. And I said, no, you need to go to hospital now. And she said, no, I need to finish the meeting. I said, no, you need to go.
Well, that's dedication for you, isn't it? It's like, yeah, quite right. Just finish this bit and then you can go off and have another human being. Goodness
And
me.
it's that sort of dedication that you're
Yeah.
not going to get in the UK. You're not going to find that. And I'm fiercely loyal and I'm very proud of my team.
Mm,
That I wouldn't have the business I have today without them. They're incredible. And it's very much our business, not theirs. I'm not mine, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
I like to refer to it as our business because they are brilliant.
I think that
Brilliant, in fact.
that's where the culture comes from, and we generally say it comes from the top. But you're kind of this is a we and not a me business. But that culture is probably a mix of the two from your experiences, but you've picked the best from the both worlds. And
It's
that's
a
what
little
I love
to
under
dust.
yeah, understanding somebody that's grown up in a different country or gone traveling or it's experienced different things from different perspectives. It widens your whole scope of what's possible and the humanity that is out there. It just gives you a different perspective. And that's what I find fascinating. Basically, coming from a girl who was born and bred in London and hasn't moved very far from London, I've done a bit of traveling called a holiday, but not, traveling as in 6 months here, a year there, or 2 years there. So when I speak to people that have made that massive move, I'm just in awe of their sense of adventure
But you
and
built a whole global
bravery.
community there, Jill. So you've built a global community from your office. So yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's true. It is very true that we also view bravery from different perspectives. We've got a question on the CoGlow platform. You might have come across it where it's like, what's the most adventurous thing you've ever done? Because adventure is such an inbuilt behavior of collaboration. When you're in a collaboration with other people, you have to have that sense of, oh, what can we do? What can we do? It's exciting. And it's like that um, generating this buzz around what's going to happen. So we asked that question, and the things that have come back from, oh my goodness, what people have been up to. And I'm like, I've done nothing. I've done nothing. And then people say, like you, well, you've written 4 books. I'm like, yeah, yeah, and you've started up this community. Well, yeah, and it's like how other people view what I've done. Even standing on a stage, some of our members will be like, oh, I couldn't have done that TED talk, Jill. Oh, that was just too nerve-wracking. And I'm like, no, I loved it. It was brilliant. But to go abroad, one of my clients said this to me once. I've never done anything brave in my life. I said, you must have done. Tell me what you're proud of. No, nothing really. Tell me what adventures you've had. She went, well, I went to Australia once. I went, all right, okay. What, for a holiday? No, I stayed there for a bit. All right, who did you go with? Not on my own. Oh, how long was for a bit? 2 weeks, 3 weeks? No, about 4 years, I suppose. So you'd emigrated and she created a business while she was over there. And then she came back just through choice, not be, and there was nothing driving her. There's just like, yeah, that seems like a good idea. I said that would take all my courage to get on that plane on my own, to go to a country not knowing when I was going to come back if I was, and not having a job to go to, having to create one while you're over there. That to me was huge. But she just went, yeah. But for her, running a business, oh, I don't know how to do that. And I'm like, it's interesting.
Everybody has different, as you say,
Yeah.
different
Talking
factors.
of different things and different businesses, I had a little stalk around your LinkedIn profile. And you've also got on the Sky Garden and the Flamingo Group. Can you tell us a
Oh
bit more
yes,
about those?
gosh, that Flamingo Group, that's my property company. It's still going, but it just runs itself essentially. I just got a few properties I look after for other people that's left over from the pandemic. And I
Right.
have a team member that looks after that and it just runs itself. And Sky Garden, I really need to take that page down. But thank you for finding it. It's reminding me. So yes, no, the property side is, there's still some interest there and some residual stuff, which it's not my main thrust anymore. The
Yeah,
property side, it's all about recruitment.
yeah, and you do it so well. So Emily, tell us a bit more about you as, say, an 8-year-old. What's your happiest memory for when you were a child?
Good Lord, wasn't expecting that as a question.
I've stolen it. It's a question that Simon Sinek uses on his guests. So I thought if it's good enough for Simon, then it's good enough for us.
Yes, memories of childhood. My childhood, gosh, probably being in South Africa.
Yeah.
Um, gosh, I almost feel like I'm crying. I always feel like my childhood finished when I came over from South Africa, and I was about like
Oh,
8, 9 when I came over.
gosh.
So suddenly grey and ugh. Probably yeah, splashing around in the pool, we're having had a braai and being with my family and playing with my cousins. Simple, yeah,
Yeah. Happy memories, isn't it? When you kind of have that pinpoint moment of like, this is a good day. It's a nice, and it
absolutely,
stays with you.
absolutely. So I think that as an overall memory, probably that.
Mm. It's interesting that you differentiate the two. So when you came to England, presumably you didn't want to come as a child. Is it like
I
something?
was happy. I love the sunshine. I love my friends. I love my dog. I love my family. Yeah, of
Oh. And then you
course.
came to England and it rained and it rained.
It rained, but I had my English family, so that was good. But it just rained, and suddenly, from having a house with a big garden, I was in a house in London with a tiny, tiny, tiny garden, and it
Mm.
never saw any sun.
Do you ever regret that you had to come over, or do you wish you could have stayed?
God, Jill, this is like therapy.
I'm just nosy.
Oh yeah, but
I
it
was in
kind of
your position with that thing. It's like, I wonder how I would have felt. That's what's going through my mind.
it's not. I was a child. It wasn't my choice.
Mm.
Your parents make the best decision for your. As parents, we all make the best decisions we can for our children with
Yeah.
the information we have at the time available. So it's not my place to say if it was the right or wrong thing, but I found it hard growing up in England. Yes.
Yeah. I think it's such a pivotal age, isn't it? 8 years of age that, uprooted and taken across the world. Literally across the world, isn't it? It must be quite devastating at various levels. Some children just, oh, it's change, it's different, it's good. And some people it's change, it's different, it's bad. It's like,
It was a different time. My parents had to book a call to England. So my mum would get like 5 minutes on the phone with her mother. It was a different time. There's no
yeah,
Skype. It's just a different time. So
yeah.
it's a lot easier to jump on a plane and move to another country now.
Do you get to go back to see your family very often?
I haven't been back for a few years, but hoping to go back next year.
What part of South Africa was it?
I grew up in in Joburg, but I prefer Cape Town, obviously, because it's a beautiful place.
Well, do you know what? I
You,
still haven't been, so it's on my wish list of places to go.
you
So
need to go, Jill. You need to go.
everyone says that. Yeah, absolutely. It sounds amazing. Um, so it must feel really good for you having left the country that you really wanted to stay in, that you are now helping that country from a distance and helping those
Jill,
people in
it's
the
incredible. It feels bloody amazing. I love it. I love creating these jobs because so often in South Africa, regardless of race, one person employed will support 4 or 5 other people at least, whether
Mm,
it's school fees for a cousin or medical care for an uncle, because there's no benefit structure in South Africa at all. We're very, very spoilt over here. So I know that the money I send over has a great ripple effect. And look, I'm not Mother Teresa, I'm no saint, I'm making money from this. It makes me money and it makes other people money and it's all
Yeah.
fantastic. But when I go off to meet my maker in hopefully a very long time, I know that I've changed just a tiny piece of the planet. I'm like one little grain of sand, and that's good. I can't change the rest of the world, but I can change a little bit. And I'm making money from it. So what's not to like?
Well, you have to be sustainable. There's no point not making money from it because otherwise you eventually you'd curl up and not be able to do it anymore and they would be suffering. So
It's really helping UK businesses as well, Jill. That's the bit that I really like as well, because I think UK businesses are a real sticky position at the moment. We've got an upcoming election, there's a lot of uncertainty, we've got there's a lot of problems and a lot of fear. So a lot of business, and same in America, there's a lot of anxiety about hiring somebody because can I afford them? Will I be able to? And people put off these decisions, which stops their businesses growing, where when they meet our lovely people, and we've got a really unique way of matching people to businesses, um, they get the help that they need to make their business flourish, because we don't just give somebody who is cheaper. If you want cheaper, there's other places to go in the world,
yeah.
but we offer cheaper than the UK, but a much greater quality. So you're getting a hell of a lot more for your money, and that's really exciting. Really
Mhm.
exciting.
I also like the fact that it's the same flipping time zone. So simple little things like that, it is
And
lovely.
English is the first language. It's really important. And culturally, the legal system's very similar, and same with education. So it really is, it's very seamless.
And also, it's such a big commitment taking somebody else into your business from, teaching them how it works in your space, all the way through to, as you say, being sure that all the legals are done. In one of my other businesses, we product office supplies. We've had employees, we've had apprentices, we've had interns. It's really quite hard. Just to make sure
Really,
you get the right people. Yeah.
and I think something else that we do that really makes it different is that we offer a 12-month guarantee. Now, I can't guarantee that the person will stay there for 12 months because I'm not God, but
Right.
we try really, really hard to make sure it is the right person. And if it isn't, we replace for free for up to 12 months, which I don't know any other company that does that.
No, that is really a unique.
So we put our money where our mouth is, that we're doing the right thing, because I don't want to replace.
No, well, that's just going to cost more in the long run, isn't it? Because you've gone to a lot of effort to get them the right person in their position. So
Really.
what sort of people what sort of talents do they have, these people?
I love that question, Jill. Thank you. The areas of our expertise really, that's when I say sales and marketing, that's two words, but there's probably like 90 different job titles under that.
Yeah.
And then admin and organization and sales. Those are our areas. And this is anything from entry level up to C-suite. So our sort of typical, where we really do well are those sort of jobs between 30 and 50,000 pounds in the UK.
Right.
And then we can really help UK businesses save 40% of that.
Well, that's not bad, is it? And do they have to take on full-time employer or they can have part-time or?
We can do part-time. I always think full-time is better, because there's a better commitment from both sides. A bit of a numb bum. Both sides have more commitment, but it's terribly exciting, and most people need full-time. They're just anxious about part-time
Yeah.
because they think they can't afford it.
Yeah. And also they want to test the water just to see if that person's okay. And they'll maybe
Take
come in 2 days a week and then you realise on the other 3 days a week, oh, I wish they were still here because then they've got that to do. And yeah, so it's taking the
away of finance, and suddenly why not? And one of the things I hear constantly is we place a lot of EAs, a lot of executive assistants. Exactly what you said. I don't have enough to give them. I've only got 2 days' work. I've only got 3 days' work. And I said, okay, every time you do something that you don't like, write it down.
yeah. Oh, I'd be
And
here all day.
exactly, you do that for a week, and you've got a job for two people.
Yeah.
Because, but I haven't got research to back this up, but most the amount of businesses that fail in the in the UK, and I'm sure it's the same in other countries, is huge. And I'm quite convinced it's because when people start their own business, they have to be social media manager, they have to be an accountant, they have to be a marketeer, they have to be a copywriter, they have to be the XYZ.
Yeah.
And it's not possible for that one person to be good at all of those different job
Yeah.
roles. Just not possible. So we're going back to the original thing about procrastination. We all put off the things that we hate doing. We all do it. And
Yeah.
generally, that's the things we're really bad at as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And you leave this big pile of stuff that you're bad at and you don't want to do, and you're surprised your business doesn't work.
Yeah.
So get someone in to take it away. I'll give you an example. One of my businesses many years ago, well, I've got over this now, is I hated invoicing. I'd do the work, but I'd hate invoicing. How ridiculous is that? I hated doing it. So guess what? That business failed because I never got any money in, funnily enough. And then the next time I realized, get someone else to do the invoicing, and miraculously I had money.
Hey. Well, as a business coach, I do empathize with that, because I've worked with people in the past that had they were worried about their cash flow. Get this, they were worried about their cash flow because they needed to buy in products in order to do the job. And then when we looked at the invoicing that was outstanding, there was over £80,000 worth of money that they were owed. So should we get that in first? Do you think that'd be a good thing to do first? Should we try and get some money in? Oh yeah, well, but we've sent the invoice out, we've not had anything back. Have you rung them, spoken to them? Well, I think I might have sent them an email. Oh, okay. So there's Jill on the phone, can we have pump money, please? It is interesting, isn't it, how we do procrastinate? But I go back to the E-Myth. Have you read the E-Myth by Michael Gerber?
No, I haven't.
Ring a bell. Okay, it's a very old one. Let me save you the trouble. He talks about the entrepreneur myth, where you love baking pies. So you set up a business baking pies, and then you realize that you love baking pies, but you're rubbish at actually running a business. So you get people in to help you run the business. And then they are so good at running the business that you become inundated and have to make so many pies. And this balance is kind of, you're not able to keep up. You're too successful. And then because things start to crumble, the people that are doing the doing for you in your business go, oh, this isn't working. This is a disaster. So they disappear. Then you're left with running the business again. And you don't know how they do it because you've left it all to them. So my advice for anybody before you take on a new member of staff is to get your process in place, get your system there so they are following your system. So if for any reason they fall pregnant and disappear and you don't ever see them again, or drop down dead, whatever the reason is, that even if they can't do the job that they've been doing beautifully, the system is still there and they can then teach it to somebody else, and or you can teach it to somebody else, because that's your system. It's not anybody else's system. You know how to do it. So for example, when I first started as a business coach, so we already had our initial business, but I didn't touch the finance side because I do this, but I don't like doing the finance over here. But I knew I had to learn how, so that when somebody else was doing it for me, I knew what to look for and make sure that it was going in the right direction. So I had to learn all of the forecasting and the cash flow and the bank reconciliation. It was boring, but I did it. So I knew. So then I set up my system. I want this. This is the meeting we're going to have. This is what it's about. I outsourced it and I gave it to somebody else, which was great. But I know that if he decides not to do that financing for me, I can still pick it up and carry on short term until somebody else takes it over. But then I'm still going to tell them how I want it done. So if you're thinking of taking somebody on, whatever you're doing, look at getting your business systemized. If for no other reason, when you come to sell it, people want a systemized business because they can replicate your success. Because
I would actually take it a tiny bit further than that, Jill. It's something that we do all the time, is make sure that all processes are written down and procedures are written down. So there's certain things that we do with internally in the business. And I had a situation last week, I had to go back on the factory floor, as it were, and I could just go to the processes. I could go to the Loom videos, and people, again, with processes, they think, God, I haven't got time to do this. And now it's so easy. We just constantly do Loom videos. So when a task is being done, it adds seconds to the task just to do a quick Loom of it and then record it and put it in. We use Google Drive, and you just build up this brilliant manual
library.
that when you have a new starter, it's all there. You've got all the materials to say, here's your knowledge base, because when you start a new job, it's so overwhelming. You're being bombarded with all this information. It's not possible to absorb it all. I reckon 50 to 60% of it gets absorbed in the first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because it's so much, and it's all those mistakes that they make, it's costly. But if they've got all this resource of videos, because we're all used to videos now, 2 3 minutes, they've got the reference guide to go, okay, I need to do that, that, and that, and it's easy. And it then takes no time to build this processes guide.
I love a Loom video. Yeah, absolutely.
It's not a chore.
And then build it into your systems that you review these things every so often so that you can tweak. Oh, do we still do that? No, we don't do that anymore. We've changed it. Why didn't we write it down? We should have written it down. So now we're going to change it. So you review and upscale everything that you're doing all the time. So
this comes back to the whole thing initially that I was saying about praising when something goes wrong, you obviously go through why it went wrong, but also the same when something went well. So it gives you that opportunity to check everything's in place.
So that's also another book you don't have to read, The 1 Minute Manager. That's exactly what it says. It's only a tiny book and it only takes a couple of hours to read it, but basically that's what it's saying. And the E-Myth is the other one about write everything down, put your systems in place. There you go. You read 2 books now, but they are classic old school business books that most people read at some point. And the next one, of course, being the Stephen Covey 7 Habits of Highly Successful People.
I will add that to my list. Yes.
Well,
I use Blinkist, which is, I think Blinkist is fantastic. Very great time-saving thing for those manuals. Now, Jill, the one thing you asked me earlier on, I think before we started recording, about my passions, and my biggest pride is my daughter, who's 14, and I love her to pieces. But I am going to have to cut this short, as fabulous as it is, because I now have to go and pick her up, because that's my number one job, is picking up my beautiful being a mummy. Being a mummy and then having a business to support it all. And it's been so fantastic to have this time to share so many interesting things with you, Jill. Thank you so much.
I always believe family comes first, so I shall let you fly. Thank you so much for your time today. How can people contact you if they want to get hold of you?
Great. My email address is emily@remoterecruitment.ai, or they can message me through the platform as well, can't they?
Not directly through the platform, but if they want to come through to me, Jill@collaborationglobal.org, or come to one of our meetings, and hopefully you'll see Emily there as well, which is collaborationglobal.org, to book a space there as well. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you so much, Jill. It's been fabulous to spend time with you. Thank you. Goodbye, darling.
Take care.